Hello believers, hope you're well. Welcome to the show where we speak to creative minds about what they think, how they think, and what they think of the X-Files. I thought I'd continue the transportation theme of the last couple of episodes by this week speaking to you from a bus. And it's en route currently to Bo'ness, short for Borristouness. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Thanks for that fact, Chloe from work. Home to, amongst other things, the beautiful Hippodrome Cinema, the oldest surviving purpose-built cinema in Scotland. And this weekend, that will be hosting Hipfest, the silent film festival, which I've been to for the last couple of years and always really enjoy. There's usually loads of bunting up around the place, lots of happy faces, lots of piano accompaniments. And I'm going to go and see a film called Just Around the Corner because I couldn't get tickets for love nor money for the gala. I think that's a film called Man Trap. Everybody gets dressed up in sort of the poshest 1930s flapper garb. Really brings an air of glamour to the chilly port town. But yes, can't make it to that, sadly. I'm going to go and see a film called Just Around the Corner instead. Not too sure what that's about, but, you know, some of my favourite film experiences have been going into something completely dark, so looking forward to that. Anyway, just around the corner for you listeners is today's guest. It's the comedian, writer and podcaster Hatty Ashdown. Hatty is a regular on the London and UK comedy circuit. She co-wrote and created the Comedy Central sitcom Give Out Girls. She starred in BBC Radio 4 Sitcom Romance and Adventure. You may have heard her podcast Funny Mummies, and she hosts Screaming with Laughter, which is a lunchtime comedy club for parents and their babies. I've known Hatty for a long time, and I've only just discovered that if you go on her website, there's an absolutely brilliant clip of her interviewing Lou Reed on there. They're both at this music festival, and I have to say, she just showed him up for being a right grumpy bastard. On today's chat, Hatty talks about trying to keep it together as a performer and a parent, clowning, a bit about breakups, sofa dwelling, and appropriately enough for someone with the amount of energy that Hatty has, we get on to speaking about X-Files Season 1, Episode 16, Young at Heart. As always, if you like the show, please do leave us a review wherever you get your podcast, or drop us a line at believemepod@gmail.com. Follow us on X and Instagram. Should be heading into Bo'ness any second now, and off to the Hippodrome. So I'll bid you adieu and leave you in the company of Hatty. It's a big party town, isn't it, Leicester? Sorry, yeah.
It is. I love it. I love the festival. They're very kind there, and yeah, it's all a lot of the volunteers working at the different venues, and they're all so enthusiastic, and yeah, it's lovely. I didn't actually gig a lot. I just socialised a lot.
Oh right, are you working? You're working to a new show though, is that right?
Yeah. So I took up. I did gig on the. I did it the wrong way round, you know, like because I gigged on the last day, and that was the big mistake, Chris.
Right. Saw a lot of stuff, had a good drink, and then I got to do some comedy.
I know, and then come to Sunday, I had two shows. I did a podcast. I did a live podcast, Jess Foskew's Hoovering podcast, which, lovely. If people don't know, it's not about cleaning your house. It's hoovering up food. And it was really good. It's really fun, but I was really hungover, and and then I did my show, which is called Hatty Ashdown. So
yes,
I'm working on that. No, that took me a long time to come up with that title. I don't really know what the show is at the moment, or why I'm doing it. It was literally, there's so many people at the Leicester Festival did the same thing of like, they go, oh, the festival contact, go, do you want to come back? And you go, yeah. And then you go, and then you try and make a show around. Because you go, that'll push me. because I need to be accountable.
Yes, good to have the deadline, isn't it? That sort of terrifies me, and always did, having to just generate that number of ideas. And I don't know how people do it. Year on year, come up with another hour's worth of material. I mean, how do you do it? Where are you getting your stuff from?
This particular one, in a way, well, I guess I did with the last one as well, but I sort of have gone backwards, rather than talking about what's been going on in the last year or so. I guess it was more of a like, I knew I wanted to do something different, because my last show, The Worry Drawer, was quite a personal show, and quite I was really trying to get a message across. And this one I was like, I don't want any message. I just want it to be silly and just people come out, escape and have fun. So it's funny, on Sunday people would go trying to give me like callbacks, like, oh, you should do this and do this callback, and I was sort of thinking, okay, they are good ideas, but I'm just not worrying about that too much. Because it's a bit of a party show. I knew I wanted to do games, so I've got audience interaction. It's weird, I've sort of gone back to stuff that I used to do years ago, really.
Because you were always a brilliant MC, and it was always like a good time when you come to see one of your shows, and it was like, oh, Hatty's going to be MCing it, so that's going to be a good laugh, and everybody will feel really supported, No, I'm genuinely, I'm not just blowing smoke anywhere, but I think that's it. I think that's nice. That's nice that you're embracing that again.
Yeah, so there's not really isn't any method to my madness. I do have someone I sort of work on my shows with now, and he helps on my Funny Mummies podcast as well, actually. And I think it helps because he's known me for a long time, and I just sort of say, I just said to him, like, I don't know what to do, but I think I know what I want to not do, So it was kind of him that said, I think he said, I've always wanted you to do a game show, and I was like, okay. We'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing that.
It's sort of a game show mixed in with just awful confessions of my life. So
yeah.
People think they're playing blankety blank, but it's confessions from me.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on because it's sort of like I pull contestants up, and I'm talking to them, and I think because of my mind can sort of wander and get distracted, it's quite good because it's really testing me to kind of like, find the funnies from what, they're saying to me. If they, do you see what I mean? So if every night's different, so it's interesting because, and this is going to be so boring because I know everyone says they're ADHD at the moment, but yeah. I was listening to somebody saying yesterday about how they're ADHD and they were working with an ADHD therapist. I don't even know if that's a thing, and how the way they found to focus on, it was. He was saying, I mean, there were so many jokes I wanted to make about how he struggles to listen to his girlfriend, but he's like, it's not that I don't want to, but my mind wanders. And I was thinking, well, yeah. Right. I don't know. Maybe you need a new girlfriend, but he was saying, he was saying that he found it helped by sort of like asking questions. I mean, I know what he means because it's kind of like bullet pointing bits because So I find when I'm on stage, I don't know if this answers you, but this new show is helping in that way because I'm not getting distracted by thinking, what am I going to have for dinner later? Because I'm asking this person questions. I'm trying to really listen. And that's the art of anything, isn't it? In working with people, is really listen. Unless it's going terrible, that's when the mind wanders, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if it's some kind of selective hearing. And I can only speak for myself, but I've really tried to approach being in a marriage as work. Sometimes where like approach this conversation as you would approach, it's quite depressing to say, as you would approach a work conversation, and like, okay, what is the information that is being conveyed here, and what do I need to take from it? I've also brought like some Samaritan's training to it. So like, and I think a lot of people could actually really take something from this active listening, because you can sit there totally stony faced and then repeat back the entire conversation to what's been said, but the other person doesn't feel heard. So like, I'm definitely going, nodding the head, actually showing that you're definitely listening to that person. It's quite a skill, isn't it? Because a lot of the time you navigate in life where people are just waiting to the end of the conversation or the end of the line to say their bit, and you go, you've not listened to a word I bloody said there.
Yeah.
There's definitely a learned skill and something I've had to sort of train myself to do over time.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have, and my son has been diagnosed with ADHD and autism, and so he's terrible, absolutely terrible listener, unless it's something he really, really wants to hear, which I know a lot of people will go, well, that's all kids, isn't it? But having done a bit of TA work in schools, it really does exist. I can spot the ADHD kids before I've even walked in, not just because they're bouncing off the walls, but the difference between the attention span of a kid that's just like, a bit distracted, which is what my youngest can be a bit like. It's just so different. You can tell that it's like pain for them. It's so hard. There's so much, they're so easily distracted. And so I'm trying to work on things with him. And through working with him, I've realised, oh, God, I think I've got ADHD as well.
Right. I mean, would you at any point go and get like professionally diagnosed, or is it just
I'm trying to, but it takes years. I mean, unless people pay for it, don't they, online? But I've been told like, don't do that, because they just tell everyone they are, and so I have a lovely grief therapist I've seen for years, and she pretty much diagnosed me anyway.
What was the impetus for going to see a therapist? Was there one point where you went, I just need to go and talk to somebody who's not a friend?
That was pretty much when my mum died, and I think because my dad died when I was like 13, and I think in those days you didn't really. I mean, now they're wonderful in schools. They have therapists come in and counsellors for kids, but I didn't have any of that, and it was like. Yeah, quite soon after my mum died, I just was like, I'm booking that in, because I want to be able to try and deal with it and not deal with it, which I think is what I did with my dad. So I just sort of like, which any 13-year-old would anyway. But I never saw a counsellor to do with my dad, not even like later on in my 20s. So I just thought, I think I better book this in. It was like self-care. It was like future friend.
Well, that's nice. And is it helping? And what sort of things do they kind of talk you through then in that process?
Well, she's from a free organisation. I don't know if it's just Kent-based. I'm not sure. It's called Cruise. I recommend it. So you get the counselling for free for a certain number. And oh God, what did she talk for? I mean, in the early days, it was just, I think, looking back, it was just a lot of me crying and...
Yeah, just having a space to do that and not feel...
Yeah, and I think that was the other reason, Chris, why I booked it in, was because I was like, my oldest was still quite young, and I knew that I just wouldn't have the space otherwise, you can talk to your siblings and stuff, but you sort of want your own space, and you don't want to keep, bothering your husband, again, because like they've thankfully not been through it, and you do feel this need to want to be in a club with other people that have been through the same. That's how I felt anyway. So it was a space to talk about your fears and things that you're just like, this is weird, I keep thinking about this. And
I think that sounds very healthy, and
does it? Good.
The more I talk to people, I'm starting to think, I don't know, I've sort of approached, I just did what you did with your dad, when my dad died, it was just like, right, we just soldier on, shall we? Or, we were sad for a week, and then, but we've got to go shopping, You know, it's not even like someone's. Not that I was like taking the whole burden of being the man of the house or anything like that on my shoulders. But
how old was you then?
I was 18.
Oh,
no, maybe a little bit. So I was older.
Yeah, but that's really young.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit older than that. But you know, it's probably worse for my brother actually, who was 9. So he, you know, we had that whole process of breaking it to him, and then he did actually have a grief counsellor and went in to see them, and I think it did probably, you know, because I was already grown up in inverted commas by that point, so I was sort of out in the world and I wasn't living at home or anything. But you know, it's difficult if that person's not there, you know, anymore, just totally not there anymore. So yeah, I think that does sound healthy doing that. And so you're from Kent. I mean, this is the problem. A lot of people I know a lot, and I say well, again in inverted commas, I don't know anything about their lives. You rock up, don't you, to comedy club, or when you have a drink and you talk about EastEnders or you talk about Traitors or something like that. But unless you're having deep and meaningful, I don't know anything. I'll just like it's like we're all from London. It's like we live in London. Yeah. It's like you just accept everybody's from all over the world. So where are you from originally, and how did that sort of mould you?
I'm from Kent, which again, if anyone doesn't know, it is a big old place. I've been having this conversation recently, because people go, I went to university in Kent, and I go, right, okay, and it'll be Canterbury, which is miles away. But
Canterbury,
yeah. And I'm like, so Kent is huge, and you know, like anywhere, there's nicer parts. And you know, so if you say Kent, people might think going to be like nice, Whitstable and all those sort of nice places. Right. But no, I'm very suburban-y. So I grew up in a village, not a village, called Swanley, which I think Mark Steele did a piece about Swanley, because it's quite a place. Right. It's a bit better now, but. And then we did move to a nice village called Longfield, and I moved around London in my younger days, and now I'm back in Kent because we've got such good links into London. It's getting priced out here now, so I don't know where I'll be.
Oh God, yeah, just the entire sort of southeast coast will be London in a bit, won't it? It'll be like, where do you live? London borders, and it's actually. Yeah, Dover.
But yeah, how it shaped me, I you know, sort of working in arts or anything just wasn't something that was accessible to me. I didn't have people around me, family or friends that worked in any sort of media, anything like that. So it was really going to college. It was thankfully at school. They said, because I said, I really just don't know what to do. And they said, well, you know, you can do performing arts in Dartford. And I was like, what?
Oh, what? And had you proffered that, or had they gone, Hatty, performing arts?
No, I think they sort of knew. Right. I'd done a...
Yeah.
Yeah. They put a few... I just wasn't gelling. I wasn't gelling in anything at school. Nothing was really... I was in the drama club and I did the school plays. Right. I liked English, but only when we were reading plays. And but I really struggled in everything else. And later found out I was dyslexic when I got to uni, actually. And so, and I went and had the best 2 years of my life at Dartford doing performing arts. It was a BTEC, and it wasn't, you know, we were on our feet every day. It was just brilliant. And we had like professional actors come in and teach us, and people have gone on from there and done great things.
Was the dream always to act, or at what point did you think, oh, comedy, I'll try that out?
Not then. It was all very sort of quite serious then. I remember now, it wasn't until later on that I remembered a teacher saying to me, I think you could be a great comedy actress. And I remember being a bit offended because at that point, you just thought, that's all I knew was like what everyone else was doing, which was just doing, you know, being a classical actress or whatever. But of course, they weren't the roles that I was getting at all. Yeah. I was always getting one that was either a big character or a bit humorous. So was a lot later on that I went, oh, okay. Yeah, it's the same thing, really. You know, you're an all-round actress. And yeah, I wish I'd sort of leaned into it more, but I didn't really know what it meant. And until that didn't even come till... So I really regret, like, at university, we had courses in clowning and farce. And I was just like, oh, God. And I was off, Chris, doing avant-garde.
You were all Brecht, weren't you?
Oh, I
you
was,
were
darling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Imagine.
I was all Brecht and Antonio about, what's his name? I've forgotten his name now. I loved my avant-garde theatre, and I was a bit, you know...
Artaud, that's it. I was
Antonio Artaud, that was it. I loved being a bit wanky. Can I swear?
You're allowed to swear, and you're definitely allowed to be wanky on this podcast.
So, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It wasn't until I left university and went into the world a bit more that I was like, oh, all these people that I love, Julia Walters, Victoria Words, and I was like, oh, of course. Like, I think some of them started, you know, in just, obviously, Julia Walters obviously did straight stuff and does straight stuff as well, but I didn't combine it all.
I think the thing with clowning is I totally agree with you, you know, on to a certain extent. When a couple of years back I was like, clowning, what's that? You know, it just seemed like farting around, and then the more I've looked into it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you know, knowing who you are on stage and what your persona is, and then, you know, speaking to Nathaniel about this, about then writing to that persona, it just must unlock, you know, your the way you write in such a great way and in a kind of immediate way. And you know, I hear quite a lot of horror stories about people, clown teachers, sat there, you know, with the entire class behind them, and one poor person on stage, and them all sat there going, "We're dying here, you know, come on, make us laugh."
Yeah.
And you've got nothing, you've just got to make and that is like, wow, you know, what an experience to have to go through that, a baptism of fire, and then to be able to kind of use that in any comedy you do.
Yeah. No, that I did a clown course about 3-4 months ago. I again was just like, I know I want to do something different with my new show, and I don't know what, but I'm open to opening myself up. And I just sort of felt like, and they did do exactly that. There were, you know, exposed. I mean, we would have a sort of theme and stuff.
Yeah,
it wasn't completely nothing. Yeah, it's hard, but.
And do you know what your clown is now? Is there a stock type of clown, or do you know, as it worked, has that course helped you in how you approach yourself?
I need to. You realise, you know, like anything, I need to do more. I did just a week's course, and it's just scratching the surface. It really is. I did feel like it sort of helped with gigging. I don't know why. I tried to use a lot of the principles, but I feel like it's like anything, like going to therapy, or like it's muscle memory. I've got to remember. So I sort of like realised, like, I think I sort of could easily fall back into old habits, and I'm like, no, I want to remember that muscle. Yeah, the clowning muscle, not to forget the clowning muscle.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
I'm trying to be a bit more like with this show, like not horrible, because I'm not a fan of being horrible, but just sort of, people like it a bit though, don't they, Chris? The thing is, people like it. They like you sort of taking the mickey a little bit. So I'd say,
with a little glint in your eye.
Yeah. So that if anything, the clown in me is that person, but only in a sort of like, someone tells me they've done something that they think's awful, and it really isn't that awful, and you go, I cannot believe you, Dave. You're absolutely disgusting. You know, this is disgusting person. How could you even leave the house if you didn't put the toilet paper roll back on the holder or whatever?
Yeah. You just sparked something in this tight old brain about how much of a... I know, steady. How much of a role parenting is, and do you ever stand back from parenting and see yourself, or think you're basic? Because sometimes I don't care what the kids do as long as they're happy and they're not killing each other. But for the benefit of them being rounded individuals, like pointing question came in at 9 o'clock at night last night, and Lenny, my son, had taken the iPad down. He's very strict about when he has the iPad, and he was sat in bed watching Pokemon or something.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't care, I used to do that. But I had to appear angry, and I had to be like, it's not that's bad, it's terrible, you're never gonna get to sleep. And it was a real, like, I do feel like I had to switch it on sometimes. Have you noticed that? And how do you, how many kids have you got? 3 kids?
No, 2. God, don't give me another one. Please, God.
You're very good at it.
I just appear like a little old woman who lived in a shoe. So many children, she didn't know what to do.
just knocking them out. But are you, how are you balancing that? And how have you balanced being a comedian and writing, and, what you do with being a mum as well?
Well, it's funny. This doesn't relate. I'll come back to that question, but it kind of relates. Because what I thought you was going to say was actually, in terms of clowning and kids, obviously the two does help. And right. I think some of that does come from that, because kids love that whole, like, I can't believe it. Who did that Trump? And
yeah.
and especially if they're having a tantrum, or they're miserable, or they don't want to do something, and they say, and particularly, this was a device with ADHD, with, like, if he's just having one of his meltdowns, sometimes there's nothing you can do but just distract, and you can just distract by tickling him, or sort of that sometimes might not work. That might just annoy him. Depends. You have to sort of try and find his level, and God, yeah, you have to be so in tune.
It sounds incredibly tiring.
It can be, but it's also obviously very rewarding, because he's very loving. So that's what I thought you were going to say, was like the clown, that how you are. I just think I'm a normal parent, but sometimes when I'm with other parents, I realise that, oh my God, I wonder if my kids are going to go, my mum was bonkers growing up. You know what I mean? I don't know what it's like around by you, but I think I get a bit of that, because I'm considered an older mum. I had my kids late 30s, early 40s, the last one. Right. And so a lot of the mums around here are a lot younger than me. They're the types of people that this is where they were born and bred, and they've got their mum and dads around the corner. It sometimes feels like I'm the younger one, if I'm honest. But that's probably because I'm still getting there late. We're running to school. We're dropping bags and wet hair and whatever. Nothing's changed. I just can't change it now.
To a certain point, do you have to be fairly regimented about how the house runs, or what you do? And is it all spreadsheets, or is it up on the fridge, or, how do you manage your life? Because it's obviously 2 kids is like a nightmare, and then if you're also having to go out and do a gig or what have you, it must be tricky.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's spreadsheets, but I do have post-it notes on the door.
Yeah.
Bin night. It says bin night. It says guitar lessons on it. I mean, it's just loads with. Both your kids at school?
One's at nursery, but the other one's at school. Yeah.
Well, it's just the admin, isn't it? So I try to be. I just have to be, because there's so much going around in my head.
Yeah.
So and then I think all kids do generally like routine, and I've talked to people that have fostered kids and and adopted kids, and it's just, and you realise that even though they might moan, they like it really. And with Huxley, my oldest, he's always trying to negotiate. He's either going to be a massive CEO of a company, because he can just debate everything, or he's going to just be little. I was going to say living on the streets. That's not good ambitions, is it? I just,
No, I can hear that.
it's either going to be CEO or it's just going to be living in his van, driving around, living the free life. Which either one would be good, won't it? But
Yeah, or like a bit of both, like that Tom Skinner guy who's like a market trader and then went on The Apprentice and has got a huge internet following now, and it's just basically him in a calf, wash, all that. I like him.
I think, yeah. So I have those moments. Basically, I have those moments where I am, a bit more organised, and I'm like, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do. I mean, I'm sitting here now, and I've got this storage thing that's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the idea is you put their school uniform in for each day.
Oh, that's good.
And they pull out Monday, and the whole uniform's there: jumper, trousers, shirt. The thing is, they pull it out as if it's like a science kind of experiment. But of course, I've only got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because I didn't order the other one. So,
well, you can I was going to say that's pretty good. It's like I'm reusing vests and God knows what over at this end.
Yeah, when someone said to me, they said, "Oh, what? You have a pair of trousers for every day, don't you? Just like whether." I went, "No, I actually I read this book called it was something about drowning or something, how to manage life when you're drowning, and this woman was just brilliant at really having the most basic tips for when you feel, and I guess it's good for people that might be in the depths of grief and they can't even get dressed. She and I got lots of tips from her, which was like, just get a pair of things like that, like just get school trousers for every day. You don't have to worry about the washing for the week. That's done, and you lay out every day.
Right,
I don't know if this is the content you wanted, Chris, but
no, this is a lot to be said for wearing the same thing every day. And I wish I had originally just bought 5 suits like Einstein / Seth Brundle in The Fly.
Yeah.
And then you have to put any brain power into what you wear. You always look the same. There's like here he is with his suit on, his tweed suit. But but life has not led me down that path, and I'm still dressing like I think I'm 25. With hoodies on, it's a bit sad.
Well, and that in itself is a uniform, isn't it?
Exactly right. So, I mean, do you find any time to do anything that's not parenting or comedy? Are you like, do you get time to read? Do you get time to go to the cinema? Do you do any of that, or are you is it just collapse on the sofa?
I am a sofa surfer. I still love TV. A thing of like, so many people go, oh, I haven't even got a TV. And I just but they're watching everything on the laptop, the streaming stuff. So I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
But I still have a TV, and so I watch TV. I don't really get to read. I listen to audiobooks because I'm dyslexic. I'm such a slow reader. So audiobooks have been amazing for me. But I listen to them probably when I'm putting the washing away, unloading the dishwasher. Yeah, it's just really, really hard to do anything else. But yeah, TV is probably my love. Isn't that awful?
No, that's totally valid. And are you so is it all right at home at the minute, or is it like difficult kind of navigating what's been going on?
Yeah, so I guess sort of saying that, actually weirdly I have had more time to do stuff I've wanted to do because I guess we're going through a separation. I guess that's the best way to, so, and it's still quite early days, so trying to have some kind of system with the kids, but that has meant I've had chunks of time on my own, which might sound great, but it's not when it's like not by choice.
Yeah, sure.
It's different when it's like, I don't know, you go away for the weekend with friends and it's like, before you split
because
up.
I bet you sat around thinking about what the bloody hell am I going to do here?
Yeah, and I've got loads to do. I've always got loads to do, but it's sort of like a forced situation and you go, ooh. So, and I did do that thing of taking myself off to the cinema, and that was not a good idea because I've done that before between gigs. I've been in places and I thought, I'll go to cinema and it's fine. But I think because it was like a forced situation, I wasn't... the film was brilliant, but, But anyway, that was a bad day. Let's not use that as a good example, because I do think going to cinema on your own is brilliant.
Yeah, I do as well. Different for gigs. I think I've been to one gig on my own and felt very alone.
Did you? What, a music gig or comedy?
Yeah, I went to see this metal band from Manchester called Wowood. And no one else wanted to go with me, so I got the train over from Sheffield. I lived in Sheffield, and it was in a pub in Manchester, and they got these massive stack amps, and the gig was great, but I did feel like, creepy man in the corner, and do I chat to people? And it's not like the metal community is not inclusive, and it is great. I'm sure you can make lots of friends, but I did feel like, do I want to have a conversation, or shall I just stand there and enjoy the music and then go? But for cinema, because it's totally in the dark, and maybe because I do that more anyway, I'd tend this, what my family's kind of geared up. We all watch films on our own a lot of times, so it's more of a thing. But no, I'm not a gig person. Or comedy, I suppose, is all right, isn't it? Going to gig on your own.
But I like sharing. That's the thing. And even though, it's not the actual sitting in the cinema on my own I have any problem with, or sitting probably even anything, theatre or anything. But I do miss then being able to talk about it.
Sure, yes.
And you've both had that shared experience. That's what it is about, isn't it? Shared experience. But I do talk a little bit about it on my podcast. I did one where I was like, because I'm quite honest on my podcast, it's Funny Mummies, and now I'm moving into this realm of like, I'm a funny mummy and I'm a single funny mummy. So
sure, yeah.
It was like, I've got to be honest about where my home life situation is. My big thing, I would say, is it's communication. Don't let communication break down. Because if communication breaks down, and then what have you got? It's really important to, the old stereotype of, we started going salsa dancing, Right. You don't have to do that, but you got to find something, I think, that you connect on, because then if it doesn't, it just, something chips away.
That's the thing, I guess, why people, not that it's happened in this case, but, why people end up seeing other people, because they want to feel like themselves, I guess, and it's difficult, isn't it, in a marriage, and you just, like I say about the mums and dads or carers at school, it's like you just end up becoming your kids, and I've always tried to not do that and have like interests that aren't, my kids, but it's you lose yourself, don't, especially like 40s, an odd time of life as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, where am I, and what do I do now, and have I done it, and what goes on? It's a strange period. Yeah.
I still don't flipping know. I'm just trying to get on with it, and that's the other thing. It's a bit, I have likened it to losing my mum in a way, because then you just find yourself going, I've just got to get on with life, and at the same time trying to deal with this grief.
Yeah, sure.
And confusion, and but then you've got to get up and get the kids to school and open the correct box Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday, and
which I'm sure it does help. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about season 1, episode 16, Young at Heart, and the basic idea of the episode is it's an old kind of nemesis of Mulder's, may or may not be back from the dead and committing robberies and goodness knows what, and this guy's seemingly died in prison a couple of years back, so is he back from the dead, killing people, is he taunting Mulder, or is there something else going on? What did you think? Because you said to me that you'd never watched it, you didn't really know much about it, apart from Mike and Gillian Anderson. What did you think of this episode?
Now, what was his name? Bernard. Yeah. Is that Bernard?
What is it? Yeah.
I have never ever. I feel like I'm playing a game. I have never had sex. No, I have never watched X-Files before.
Great.
I don't know why I haven't, because I mean, apart from, it is that thing, I don't know, because obviously you're a massive fan. I don't know how you feel, like whether it stands the test of time. I think because we have so many similar things to that are so sophisticated now that certain things about it, like, it really depresses me because some old things I put on for my kids, they just know the filming and stuff is different, and they go, this is old. And I hate, but there was a little bit of that for me, and I was like, oh, we're so used to just everything looking a bit, I don't know, but also just the pace of it, and I couldn't help but like tune into like the whole, what's the word? Not sexist, but maybe that is the word I'm looking for. Like, I obviously know it's one of those famous things, isn't it? So I know reference to it. I obviously know the song. Things are getting. Oh, that's all I could think of when Mulder and Scully. So I was just thinking of that. But so I know references and I get the references, but I was like, I think one of the first scenes where Mulder is talking to I've forgotten his name, one of the other cops.
Reggie is his old partner,
And I don't know why, I just honed in on how he had something to tell him, and it felt like she was just like behind jumping almost to go, what about, don't leave me out the conversation. And I don't know, right. Anything you watch from those sort of, I mean, what year is that? Would you say that was?
I think we're still on 93, 94 at this point.
Well, just anything then, I just sort of feel like I'm so trying to pick out or not trying to pick out, it just screams at me this sort of like male lead place. Yeah. And I know that then they are partners, but it does feel like he's the boss. That's how it came across in that episode. But then there was that particular bit that I sort of felt like, why is they leaving her out of that initial conversation?
Yeah, I guess you are following Mulder, aren't you? It's like, again, another podcast guest said, it's a show for believers, this. So you're sort of on Mulder's side, and the fact that you're usually in the room with Mulder when Mulder sees something crazy, happening. But no, I totally hear that, because you are following. It's Mulder's story, and you're willing Mulder to find out what's going on, and you want it to be true in a way. You don't want, there's enough dourness in life for there not to be. You want a bit more magic, and you want Mulder's side of things to happen. But I mean, he is his own worst enemy, and it's true of this one as well, where and again, spoiler, he kills Barnett when we meet up with Barnett at the end. It's beautifully orchestrated scene in a classical theatre where the Barnett character with his salamander hand takes somebody.
There were some bits that completely lost me a bit about a hang growing back.
Yes.
I was like, I'm lost now.
Yeah, it was it's like the lizard in Spider-Man, isn't it? So this doctor was experimenting with different, basically like salamander DNA to reverse the aging process.
Oh, I loved all that bit, because I love all that. Like when they showed that clip of like, this is an aging child that has this disease. And I all that, I was like, I love this. It's so cheesy, but I loved all that kind of Frankenstein idea stuff. That I was like, I'd have loved this when I was younger.
Exactly,
I didn't get into it.
But then Mulder, just because of how the episode plays out and Mulder's guilt at this Barnett character killing a previous FBI agent. Obviously, the arc of the episode is that Mulder's got to stop this happening again, and the Barnett character's already shot Scully, so he's already failed once. I mean, luckily Scully's got a bulletproof vest on, but the Barnett character takes hold of a cellist, kidnaps her, and then Mulder shoots Barnett in the head, and that's it. Killing another potential bit of evidence, and all through the X-Files. I think it gets picked up at some point as you get on like season 4, season 5, people going, you're your own worst enemy here, Mulder, because you've got all this evidence and you're just like picking people off left, right and centre. It's like, we can't use that evidence now because you've shot another witness or what have you. But he's a very funny character, Mulder is. And I like that. I guess, it is still, of its time, and you've got that sort of Bond-style banter that Mulder has with that calligraphy expert, and she's saying like,
Oh yeah,
promises, Mulder, you know.
I know, that was funny.
Yeah.
Those little bits that they put in.
But and it's also quite. I don't know. I apologise for giving you this particular episode because it's not one of the. It's not. It is a Monster of the Week type one, but it's not particularly. It's quite dour. And one of the things that you say about the X-Files is it's always raining in the X-Files, and this is like Mulder looks so sad when he's sat on those bleachers watching that American football game, and I'm like, why are you playing American football? The pitch is sodden. It's just like, just carry on filming. Don't worry about that. We've got to crack on. We've got a schedule.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they both seem pretty miserable, didn't they? Really. I mean, that's the thing. We've been so, I don't know if it's spoilt's the right word, but so many now similar things to that. It's almost like now too sophisticated. I think the simplicity is nice, but do they normally show more of like their own personal life in other episodes?
Yeah, ish. I mean, you get a whole arc of Scully's actually Catholic, so she does obviously believe in a supernatural being, God. So that's quite an interesting element in it as well. Okay. So when that gets brought in, you kind of nice, the dynamic sort of shifts between them.
Yeah, because he didn't, when that what do you call a calligrapher? What do you call it? The handwriting specialist, which was just like such short little bits. Oh God, if that got set up. All I was thinking was, that's a big old scene to set up, and then it's just her going, yeah, well, da, 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 da. She's being all flirty, but he wasn't giving her anything back, was he?
No, he's playing her.
But that's how he plays it.
I like that calligrapher scene. I also like the bit where they're trying to find a photo fit image on the computer of this Barnett.
Yes!
That was super.
Aging up, no, aging down.
Yeah, aging down. And then he ends up looking like Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul with like a quip or something.
Yes, he did.
Really funny that is. But I appreciate the fact that the X-Files continually tries to keep up to date with what at the time it must have seemed like radically exciting technology.
Yeah.
Fun. And then you get a flashback in this one as well to Mulder goes back to court.
Yes.
When Barnett was getting sentenced and Mulder loses it in court. And how do we know we've gone back in time? Mulder's got flat hair. He never would normally have flat hair, would he? Very odd, very odd. A couple of other things I noticed was like, in these, there's always like, we've got to trace the call. Let's trace the call and then we'll figure out where the villain is.
Yeah.
But they never do it in time, do they? It's like, he was, what does Mulder say? Something like, he was hip to the trace. They always put the phone down.
Oh, he did say a classic line.
Always do that. But I'm like, why not just, if you're the FBI, I know this is like ethically bankrupt, but they do a lot worse. If you're the FBI, why not just trace every incoming call?
Yeah.
Just on the off chance that you're going to get a killer ringing in.
Yeah. Did you get it? No, we didn't get it. It's like, oh, for God's sake.
Very, very, very strange. But yeah, I mean, it was fine, this. It's sort of, I should say, I usually give a bit of a précis about what happens at the beginning of the episode. You're in this hospital, I think it's like prison hospital. There's a fella going around in an orange jumpsuit, probably one of the inmates. He's in a wheelchair. He is screaming, goes into one of the wards, and there's a doctor operating on somebody. There's blood everywhere, and it's the guy on the slab looks over, and he's got these milky eyes, and that turns out to be Barnett.
Looks like really bad cataract eyes.
Yeah, that was quite nice though, actually, with the sort of the fact that the one thing you can't de-age is your eyes. I quite liked that.
Yeah.
In a way, sort of, as a sort of, that's who you really are. You can never really get rid of that because that's who you are in yourself, and window to the soul and all that. And I guess with this one, we also get another appearance from Deep Throat. He pops into a bar for a certain amount of time. The insider character, and then is he Smoking Man in this one? I think he is just like briefly having a fag in the background being shady. But do you think you'll will you watch any more of the X-Files? Has this sparked something? As if you've got time, but it wasn't a good one.
No.
I'm sorry, it wasn't a good one to spot. It wasn't Teams.
No, it was a good one. I've straight away, like I said, yeah, when he was in the hospital, and you're like, ooh, I was like, oh, I'm in. Yeah, I was like, oh, I think this would be a good. I don't know if my kids could start watching it just yet. My oldest is 8.
That's what we've had, but now we've sidetracked onto Doctor Who, so that's kind of scary enough. And I'd never watched Doctor Who.
Oh, I tried a Doctor Who with them, and it was like I just must have chose a really bad one, because within 5 seconds of just like, even I was like, oh my god, that is quite scary monster.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, thank you. We still watch Bluey.
Oh yeah, Bluey. Love a bit of Bluey. Steve Backshaw. We're big into Backshaw.
Oh,
His family.
Don't know that.
He's like a Chris Packham, David Attenborough type. Goes off and he's got a show called Deadly 60 where he sees the most deadly creatures in the world. And his thing is, what's he say? That's creatures that are deadly not just to me, but in their own world. Which sort of navigates the fact that you can do shit creatures that don't kill anybody, but to a bird that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And he sees like spiders and that, and he's pretty good, Backshaw. So I'd recommend him.
Can I ask gossip? Is there a thing with Gillian Anderson that she? Because I know, do you think she just had enough talking about it? Because she was on a podcast recently, and I think there was a thing she just didn't want to talk about it at all. I mean, it didn't even come up in her bio. And I was like, is there bad blood there?
I think she is sick of it, yeah. I think Duchovny less so. But, Gillian Anderson was always, I guess, more of a thesp than he was. I'm sure Duchovny does theatre work as well. But, she was in, like, Terence Davies films and a lot of, like, quite high caliber drama as well, and she's always had I guess you'd still say, oh, that's Scully, wouldn't you? But maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd probably say that's Gillian Anderson, because she's done Sex Education now, and she's in that new, was she playing Emily Maitlis in that drama where she's interviewing Prince Andrew? So she gets like some good gigs. I'm always astonished that she's like part British as well, because when you hear her accent, it's like, wow, that's wild. It's not Scully's accent.
I know. I mean, I just hear the Margaret Thatcher in her now, because she played Margaret Thatcher, didn't she, in The Crown? I
mean, I would be surprised if she came back for... They're doing another series of The X-Files with Ryan Coogler is doing it, the Black Panther director. And I would be surprised if has a cameo, or if they even want to do that, if it's not like a total reboot where here's 2 new FBI agents and they're investigating spooky stuff. So I don't know when that's going to be ready, but hopefully next couple of years.
Ooh.
There you go, yes. How's your day going? Oh, here's the dog. That was on cue. Well done, doggy. Thank you.
Can I see your dog? What dog is it?
Come on, Moose. Don't go. Hattie wants to say that.
Now she don't know what's going on. Oh. Hello.
He's Bedlington Whippet crossed with Italian Greyhound.
Wow.
So he's very fast and hairy, but he likes to sleep as well. He has a sleep for sort of 4 hours afterwards. And we'll go out for a wee. Believe Me is written and edited by me, Chris Boyd, with production support from Steve Marshall. The music is by Johnny Boyle, and our logo is by Russ Brown. See you out there next time.